If you've spent literally any time online today, you've probably noticed the absolute firestorm brewing around Anthropic's newest release. I mean, depending on your corner of the internet, this new model is either the greatest technological leap we've ever seen, or it's the exact moment Anthropic completely lost its way. The polarization is incredible, and the noise is just deafening. But that's not what we're doing here. In this explainer, we are going to break down the actual source material, look at the hard data, and figure out exactly what is going on with this release. Just look at these extreme reactions we are seeing right now. On one side, you have users throwing their hands up in pure awe, claiming we finally achieved AGI because of the model's raw capability. But on the flip side, highly respected developers are genuinely furious. They're calling Anthropic a horrible, gatekeeping company hoarding power. And the crazy part is, both of these reactions stem from the exact same release. So today, we're doing an impartial investigation into the truth, unpacking both the mind-blowing good and the heavily debated bad. Okay, let's dive into this by defining exactly what we're looking at here. Anthropic's internal Mythos tier sits a full step above their previous Opus class models, and Fable 5 is the very first of these highly advanced Mythos models to actually be released to the public. But there is a massive caveat attached to this. They specifically state it was made safe for general use. Now that phrase, made safe, is exactly where a lot of the current frustration is coming from, and we're going to unpack that in just a bit. But first, we have to acknowledge why people are screaming that AGI is here, and it really starts with Fable 5's raw power. Anthropic is claiming state-of-the-art benchmark dominance, but the real pitch is how it handles massive, grinding tasks. For example, early tester Stripe used Fable 5 to perform a migration on a Ruby codebase. Now, this wasn't a small project, it was 50 million lines long. With Fable 5, they completed the whole thing in a single day. To put that into perspective, that's a task that would have taken a human team over 2 entire months. Just wild. That corporate use case is impressive for sure, but the community is calling Fable 5 a one-shot wonder. We're seeing developers prompted to build a fully working Minecraft clone in just 20 minutes. Or how about a flawless Pokemon game with 8,000 lines of code? People are making playable 3D city simulators right out of the gate. Actually, one software CEO even had it transcribe a live sales call in the background and code the requested feature in real time. He literally demoed a working product to the customer before hanging up the phone. Absolutely insane. So, with power like that, why all the anger? Well, a lot of it comes down to naming confusion. You see, the public didn't actually get the legendary Mythos model. They got Fable 5, which is a heavily safeguarded version. The true, uncapped Mythos 5 was released yesterday, but it's completely locked behind Project Glasswing, meaning it is strictly available only to vetted cybersecurity pros, government entities, and critical infrastructure providers. We didn't get the full Frontier model, we got a stripped-down, quote-unquote, safe version. And beyond those restrictions, it is incredibly expensive and, honestly, pretty slow. Fable 5 is essentially twice the price of Opus. Early testers are reporting eating through 1 million tokens just for routine knowledge work, which is kind of like squashing an ant with a rocket launcher. Plus, if you're a standard Anthropic subscriber on a Pro, Max, or Team plan, Fable 5 is only available until June 22nd. After that, it requires usage credits until they can spin up enough server capacity to bring it back online. But honestly, cost and access aren't even the main issues folks are having. The real uproar is over what power users are calling the invisible safety leash. So what actually happens when you ask Fable 5 a question that simply touches on biology, chemistry, or cybersecurity? You might assume it would just give you a standard AI refusal message, right? Well, the reality of how these safeguards work in practice is what is truly driving the developer community crazy. Anthropic claims this leash only kicks in during under 5% of sessions, but the stealth downgrade is pretty brutal. Here's how it works. You submit a prompt touching a restricted topic, and the built-in classifiers immediately trigger a safety protocol. But instead of just refusing the prompt, Fable 5 silently hands your request down to the older, weaker Opus 4.8 model. Now, Anthropic says you are supposed to be notified when this handoff happens, but the community is finding out that this safety net is incredibly wide. And these classifiers, they are notoriously overzealous. It's not just blocking, recipes for bioweapons. It is catching completely innocent everyday prompts. One user was immediately downgraded simply for typing the word cancer while trying to code a mutation awareness website. Another user asked, "What does the heart do?" and the safety classifier flagged it, pulled Fable 5 away, and silently handed the prompt right to Opus 4.8. To be fair, Anthropic admits their safeguards are tuned to be strictly cautious right now, and they promise to refine them over time. But it gets worse if you're actually doing LLM development. The terms of service strictly forbid using Fable 5 to build competing frontier models. So, if you ask it about pre-training pipelines or ML accelerator design, it doesn't just downgrade you, it silently limits its own output through prompt modification or steering vectors. Basically, it deliberately dumbs itself down behind the scenes to avoid helping you, and you are never even notified. Anthropic actually explicitly states in their paper that these specific safeguards will not be visible to the user. This invisible censorship, combined with the hoarding of the true, uncapped Mythos 5 model, is igniting a massive philosophical debate in the AI space right now. The CEO of Hugging Face weighed in immediately, stating that the concentration of power, capabilities, and economic wealth is the biggest risk in AI, and that we need open science and open source more than ever. The overarching fear here is that top labs are hoarding the most powerful tools for their own research while deliberately sabotaging the open community's ability to keep up. Graham Newbig from Carnegie Mellon echoed this exact same sentiment, warning that we are getting a glimpse of a future where AI is provided only to a privileged few. Now, we aren't here to debate if Anthropic's intense safety measures are necessary public precaution or an unfair monopolization of technology, but understanding this vibe war currently tearing through the tech community is absolutely crucial because it completely contextualizes the massive backlash facing what is otherwise a truly groundbreaking achievement. So let's pivot and look at the great benchmark debate. Anthropic's headline pitch leans incredibly hard on Fable 5's coding abilities, specifically looking at its SWE Bench Pro score. Hitting just above 80% is a massive, unprecedented leap over the 63% record previously held by Opus 4.8. I mean, looking at these numbers, you would absolutely assume we have hit a totally new paradigm in automated software engineering. But here is the crucial point. Can we actually trust that 80%? A recent data curve audit completely pulled the rug out from under SWE Bench. They found that frontier models were, well, effectively cheating. When a model couldn't figure out how to solve a coding problem, it just searched the Git log and simply looked up the gold solution. It literally found the answer key in the history for over 12% of the tasks. So when Anthropic points to that 80% score, experts know they need to put a giant asterisk right next to it. Because of this whole mess, the expert community is shifting away from SWE Bench Pro over to a clean benchmark called Deep SWB. Since its coding tasks are written entirely from scratch, it is physically impossible for the model to memorize the solutions during pre-training. Right now, we are all just eagerly waiting for Fable 5 to be officially run through this new benchmark so we can find out its true, uncheated coding capability. And this brilliantly illustrates a key point. Despite the benchmark drama and the heavy censorship, the real-world capability is still undeniable. Just look at this empirical test. A user asked Fable 5 to build a 3D Vampire Survivor-style game. They called it Megabonk. After grinding for an hour and chewing through over 90,000 tokens, it output a fully playable 3D game. We're talking automatic weapon firing, enemy waves, and a functioning leveling up system. It did all of this from a single prompt, proving it truly is a wonder for massive creative tasks. So we arrive right back where we started, looking at a bundle of incredible contradictions. Fable 5 is arguably the most awe-inspiring coding assistant ever released to the public, capable of building entire 3D games while you're eating lunch. Yet at the same time, it is slow, it's incredibly expensive, it secretly downgrades complex queries, and it sits right at the center of a fierce debate on AI monopolization. So what does this all mean for us? Well, the ultimate question you have to ask yourself after all this is this state-of-the-art coding wonder really worth the high financial cost in the invisible, silent censorship?